Mentioned earlier, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn will make his first court appearance next week since he pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI last December. Flynn has been cooperating with the Mueller probe, and Politico reports that next week's hearing could be about possible sentencing for Flynn. Quote, the repeated delays in Flynn's sentencing have led to speculation that prosecutors believe his testimony could be useful at some future trial, or that the sentencing process might disclose some aspect of the investigation that Mueller still wishes to keep secret. So, Julia, we got a court date on the calendar. It's coming up soon. What are we expecting next week?
So I think we want to figure out when they're going to set that sentencing date. And then, of course, we'll want to see how long he is sentenced. If it's negligible amount of time, that could mean that Flynn handed over enough information that he was able to walk back from some really serious allegations. If you remember, Steve, back to I think it was early December of last year when we saw those final charging documents on Flynn, it really just came down to the fact that he lied to the FBI, although we knew there was a lot in his past that was not put into those indictments. So at this point, we'll want to see what they charge him with, not what they charge him with, how they sentence him, and that will be indicative of those cooperations. And just the fact that they could set a date might mean that they think that they have gotten everything from Michael Flynn that they think they can. Otherwise, there would still be this back and forth over what he can offer on each piece of this investigation, whether it's from obstruction to collusion to anything else about who might have directed him to have those conversations with the Russian ambassador. If they think they've answered all of those questions, it would make sense that they would want to go ahead with sentencing.
Yeah, Joyce, it occurs to me that what we've learned about the status and the scope, really, of the Mueller investigation, there have just been sort of bursts of news that have come out periodically, sometimes completely by surprise, sometimes surprises within those surprises. Given that history, when you look at this court date for Michael Flynn next week, how much clarity do you think this is going to give us about, where this investigation is, where it's going, how he fits into it?
It really depends on how much information Judge Sullivan demands the prosecutors provide in court. But, look, this is pretty common. Prosecutors don't sentence defendants until their cooperation is complete, unless the court absolutely forces them to. And that's for all of the reasons that you've discussed, but it also hurts a defendant if he or she is sentenced too early. It means prosecutors can't give them credit for all of their cooperation. We know that Flynn engaged in a lot more misconduct than what he's charged with, this simple one-count indictment charging him with lying to the FBI. It's likely that he's explored with prosecutors the full range of his conduct to see if the cooperation he can provide is valuable enough so that they won't charge him with other counts and will keep it to this limited one-count indictment, which carries a much shorter penalty than those other counts would unavoidably include.
And by the way, Aaron, that quote again from that article about Michael Cohen and his motivation, the idea about changing the narrative here. I wonder whether it's with Cohen, whether it's with Flynn, Manafort, the entire question of Russia, of Trump, the 2016 election. Is that narrative changeable in the court of public opinion in any way at this point?
Well, I'll go back to what I said before. The result is what's ultimately going to matter here. There are so many machinations over the course of this investigation, many of which people like you and me have probably already forgotten about. It seems like ages ago that Michael Flynn agreed to this deal, and now we're finally getting around to sentencing. This is playing out. This is something that's going to continue. They're still delaying these sentences. Apparently, prosecutors want to buy some more time. They may not be done with Michael Flynn in this case. We still haven't had President Trump's interview being scheduled. It seems like we've been talking about that for a number of months here. So this is all kind of in the course of a much broader thing that, these minuscule moments are not going to add up to a whole lot.
And meanwhile, again, we talk about Flynn, we talk about Cohen. There is also this with another character whose name has come up here a little bit. The Associated Press has now obtained internal memos and other business records that show the depth of Paul Manafort's work with Russia. And according to the report, those documents show how Manafort and longtime aide Konstantin Kilimnik worked to advance Russian interests. Quote, Kilimnik, who special counsel Robert Mueller believes is currently in Russia and has ties to Russian intelligence, intelligence helped formulate Manafort's pitches to clients in Russia and Ukraine. Among Manafort's clients were Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska and other mega-wealthy Russians with close ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin. So, Joyce, another interesting nugget here. What do you make of this reporting from the AP?
This is the first time we've seen an American citizen in close proximity to a Russian and that they've acted together to potentially influence the outcome of elections. The most intriguing thing I think about this new reporting is that it shows that this case that so many people have said, the Manafort prosecution, not related to Mueller's core obligation to look at Russian collusion with the Trump campaign. And perhaps we're now seeing the point where the Russian relationship originates with Manafort and with Kilimnik. And this will perhaps be what provides going forward the narrative that we'll see Mueller fulfill.
All right, Joyce Vance, Aaron Blake, Julia Ainsley. And Julia, actually, I want you to stick around. Joyce and Aaron, I want to say thank you for your time.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.